We got a lot of tech to talk about. We do have some gaming to talk about. We got a look at the Unreal 5 engine. We got a look at what's going on with some of these next-gen consoles. We got a nice long look at Ghost of Tsushima. I've been playing some games that I want to chat about. And then in tech, we have to talk about NVIDIA's GTC conference. We have to talk about the i9-10900, some new Ryzen laptops coming out. And I do want to discuss the Keemstar Ethan H3H3 debacle. I do want to discuss their debacle.
I
and
watched
discuss that
video and
yeah, we'll get into that. That's a little bit later.
I have thoughts on that video.
Lots of people do. Very hot topic. All right. Welcome to No Life Digital. Make sure you head over to our website, nolife.digital. Everything we do goes up there. You can subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Google Play Radio, iTunes, YouTube. I do want to... Oh, yeah, there's the other thing that we have to discuss, which is Joe Rogan is leaving everything for Spotify, and I think that's something that could be fun to talk about too. So I think that's an excellent, excellent move. I'm very happy for him, and I have that in the news somewhere. Well, I'll add that later. All right, but let's get into gaming. First things first, I've been playing Grim Dawn. This is an old ARPG, and you've played it, right, Jerry?
Yeah. No, it's been out for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Four? It's been out for a minute.
Yeah, quite popular. And I've been really loving it. I've been really, really loving it. It's nothing...
It's a lot better than when it released. I will say, throwing that out there.
Yeah.
It's good. Like I've always said, it's B plus A minus material to me. Like it's not PoE, but it's not Diablo.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a good blend of Diablo and like old Diablo 2 and sort of like new Diablo 3, because it kind of has a little bit of arcadiness to it. Yeah. But there is a good amount of customization. The way that they do the upgrade system, I think, is cool. Very, very Diablo-esque. Not necessarily like Path of Exile, but overall, I've been really having a lot of fun with it, just because it scratches that itch. If you've been looking for an ARPG that isn't Path of Exile, Wolcen turned out to be a bust. I think the developers stopped developing the game. It's just filled with bullshit. It sucks now. But Grim Dawn, if you haven't played it, is pretty good.
Maybe give them some time, because like Grim Dawn's launch was it was a lot like Wolcen's, where it was kind of hyped because there's not a lot of great games in this genre. There just really isn't.
Yeah.
And there's more players than games for that genre. So it definitely had some of its bugs. I think it was in a better state than Wolcen was when it launched, but it also just wasn't like it launched and there were no bugs. You know what I mean? So maybe do give them a little bit of time, and maybe Wolcen can pull it out.
Yeah, I like Wolcen too. Like, I don't want to shit on Wolcen because I had a great time with it. Hey, Westby in the chat, can you let me know if the sound is like even, or if my mic is too loud, or if their like mics are too low? Because I'm having trouble trying to fix these levels. Let me know, Westby. And yes, I have been playing Valorant. Not much though. But back on Wolcen, I do enjoy it. I think it's a great ARPG, but they've just kind of been stagnant. So maybe we're just waiting for some new updates and some things to be fixed, some balances to be changed. But that's kind of why I like Grim Dawn, because they're pretty much, hey, we've had many years in this. It's ready.
Grim Dawn's, I'm working on their second or third expansion. Did you just buy the base game, or did you get?
I just got the base game so far.
I would suggest getting the first expansion, because it was a little bit Diablo 3-ish, where like some people really liked it, but some people didn't until the expansion came out. Yeah. And then everyone was like, Diablo 3 is great, and a lot of people liked the changes the expansion added to Grim Dawn.
Okay. Yeah, because I've been enjoying it. And I like the story. Like, normally I don't really pay attention to the story. I have no idea what's going on in Path of Exile. Don't even ask me what their story is about.
I had the opposite, actually, because like that's some of my problems with Grim Dawn is I think as the systems of the game are fantastic. The movement's pretty good. The animations are great. For me, I don't give a shit about the story personally, and the classes are just not my type of classes. Like that's my faults with the game, where it's not my cup of tea, but I think it's done really well. Its execution, its execution is like, you're good.
Yeah, I would agree. I love the execution and just the whole gameplay loop of it. One thing I don't like, which I don't, maybe I can find a mod to fix this. I don't like how high up the isometric camera angle is.
Yeah, it's high.
It's like almost top down, which is, I don't like that. I like it. Give me a little bit more so I can see a little bit more in front of me. That being said, that's a minor quibble. I do like the story. Maybe it's because I'm actually paying attention to the story. That's not something, I don't know what goes on in Diablo 3. I don't know what's going on in Path of Exile. I'd have to read something to catch myself up.
Well, they are the ultimate middle ground, I guess, because they also did the middle ground of Diablo 3 and Path of Exile story-wise. Like,
yeah,
Path of Exile, there's stories on Wikipedia. Like,
yeah,
I mean, it's in-game, but it's not really. And then Diablo, it's spoon-fed to you by Deckard Cain, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with Grim Dawn, that's where I think it kind of worked and it's intriguing, but it also didn't work just because for me it's really great for creating your own story in this world, but if you wanted to just find the story of this world, it is a lot of digging.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
There's the thing they did good with Grim Dawn is there you have a lot of like it is a linear path, but there's a lot of options in those linear paths.
Yeah,
and it's easy to miss something sometimes, and you kind of make your own story, and I think that's something they did really well.
Yeah,
because if you're just trying to find out what actually happened, you have to do 5 different quests, but there's nothing telling you necessarily like, hey, that quest is here, because all the maps are also it's an RPG. The maps aren't 100% the same.
Yeah, and it is a pretty big map, at least the base game so far. It gets pretty sprawling, which is cool. But I can't quite fully review it because I've only got about maybe 20 hours into it. And these are games that you just have to spend so much time into. But I have been enjoying it. And usually this is around the time where I'm kind of like, this is like where I would either be switched on to an ARPG or switched off. And so far I've been enticed.
I have to give them props too, that they are like the only action RPG ever that I really know of that like actually has a good gun system.
Oh yeah,
like,
that's what I run too.
There's a class based off of using guns as weapons, and it actually works. Like nothing feels janky. It doesn't feel like it's just a bow replacement. Like they nailed that. Like,
yeah,
and I can't think of anyone who's done that, honestly.
No, like, it makes me want more of that type of class, or even a whole RPG with just weapons like that.
Like if you really want to do the Van Helsing vibe, like this is your game.
Van Helsing is a perfect example of, or perfect description of the aesthetic of the game, which I've been enjoying. I think it's pretty fun, and it's been a good time sink because I've been kind of bored. I've been looking for shit to play. So I'll keep you guys updated on my journey through that. Once I put another 50 to 60 hours in, I'll come back to you because I do want to check out these expansions too.
No, I do feel you there though. That we're finally hitting that era of quarantine.
Yeah, it's time to shake things up.
Dude, I just want a new time sync game.
Yeah.
I don't want to play WoW. I don't want to play an MMO. I just want a game.
Yeah.
I want a new game.
I don't want
Resident Evil 4. I want a new game.
I've been playing Elder Scrolls Blades on mobile, which I found I was looking for apps through the App Store, and I was like, oh, this game is out. And I guess it's been out for like a year now.
I tried it when it first came out, and it was fine.
It's coming to the Switch, too.
It's on the Switch. It is on the Switch.
Does it work?
I don't know. But I will say this. There's a lot of predatory microtransactions going on. It's bad in that sense. It's not a good...
Bethesda doing that?
I know. It's surprising. It's bad in that sense. It's really bad in that sense. And I'm at a point in my playthrough where it's becoming very apparent that I may have to spend money on it.
Wait till you get to you unlock the paid mod shop, dude.
Oh, there's a lot of that going on. But I will say I have been enjoying it for a mobile game, and I do it does capture the same vibe that Skyrim has. It's weird. It scratches that itch just barely, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. But if you're looking for a mobile game to kind of like a mobile RPG, action RPG, it does have a fun game system. The way you have to parry things and the way you have to set up your players. It's not deep. It's not very customizable. There is an arena where you fight other people, and that's what I like to do. So I like to go through the dungeons, get my shit, sell it, upgrade my shit, and then try to win some battles in the arena. And this is all while taking shits and, cooking. I mean, this is not stuff that I'm not sitting down to play the game. And that's kind of how I've been enjoying it. If you are looking for a mobile title that is in this vein of like Apple Arcade, because Apple Arcade, in my opinion, changed everything. It's just that type of stuff is unacceptable. You're not going to get that experience because there's so much microtransaction, paywall bullshit that you're going to get into. I'm sorry I keep clicking that. I've been fidgeting with this toy. But there's it really highlighted to me the difference in quality of game that Apple Arcade has introduced, and I'm just left kind of just like, damn, I wish they could have just gave us like let me pay $10 and let me play the game the way it's meant to be played. But nonetheless, I have been having fun with that game. That's just something I wanted to touch on because I probably put about 10 hours in there just playing, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Lastly, go ahead.
I will add, if you're wanting the Skyrim vibes, there is a new Elder Scrolls Online expansion coming out that is Skyrim.
Yeah, and I've been playing that. I don't know if I've told you guys or told the show, but I've been playing Elder Scrolls Online. I stopped playing for about a month, but I was playing a lot before that and was having a good time, but I kind of fell out of it. It is great. It definitely, that game, if you are missing the Skyrim action, that game definitely scratches that itch really well. And I think it's kind of an underrated game. I don't know what happened at the beginning with their launch, but when I played it, I was like, wow, this is a really fun Elder Scrolls game. And there's a lot of story and there's a great community there. The combat's great. I guess it's just, I don't know, maybe it kind of soured people in the beginning, but it seems to be going strong now.
No, yeah. I just wanted to throw that out there because I saw that recently. That's coming out June. So I think it's coming out next month. It might be July, but I think it's next month.
Yeah.
Early, if you're looking for that kind of Skyrim-y or MMO-y baloney.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, I might check out Blades because I'm at the point where I'm like, yeah, I kind of almost want to buy Apple Arcade because I don't know what else to do.
Yeah, I mean, check it out because you can get into it and start playing it for free and get and understand sort of the gameplay loop because there's not much to it. It's not, you're not, it's almost like an old school dungeon crawler where it's like when you fight, it's just you versus one enemy, and then you have to figure out its weaknesses, and then you get its loot, and you continue doing that. And then they kind of addict you with the dungeons and the way that the loot is kind of given out, and it could be a fun like burner for if you don't have any games on your phone. Because I know a lot of people literally don't play any games on their phone, and that's one that I've been into lately. It just sucks because Apple Arcade, to me, you can download a full game. You pay that fee, and then you have this library of full games, and they're not groundbreaking titles, but they do have some great, really fun games on there that you don't have to deal with all the microtransaction bullshit. So it kind of is disappointing in that vein. I would suggest you check out Apple Arcade because that's been really cool. And then Trials of Mana. So Doobie has been playing Trials of Mana. He gave his review, I think last week or the week before. I picked it up. You guys can tell I'm looking for a good RPG. This game is, how do I explain this? It's just, to me, it's just very corny. It's very corny, and not just the story, because everyone knows like the story and the voice acting is really bad, but even the gameplay is corny. Like I think the combat is very clunky and childlike and just very rock paper scissors. The maps are very, I don't know, like PS1 era maps. The graphics are really, really poorly done. The sound design is poorly done. I mean, it's just, to me, it's just like a very underwhelming RPG. But it is an action RPG, which has been nice to have on the Switch with the new experience. And there is a little bit that wants me to, come back to the game. I don't know if that's just because it is an RPG and I'm a fan of that genre, or if there is something to its gameplay loop.
I almost want to recommend that you check out the original game on the Super Nintendo and then return to this, because like I gave you fair warning too.
You did.
And I think the best way of explaining it is that this is not, because it's also not a new title, it's a remake. They kept it, unlike Final Fantasy VII, they kept this one like very faithful. So a lot of it's not just driven by like nostalgia, of course, but the fact that it almost is that that Super Nintendo charm, but just upgraded.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's in a 3D environment. The AI of your partners is really bad in some boss fights.
Okay. Yeah, it is.
But
bad.
like, I think a lot of the people that do enjoy this game were the people that enjoyed the original, because this is like, hey, we took the original and we just upgraded it and made it better in most aspects, voice acting aside.
Yeah, and the voice acting is not terrible. It's just.
Do you not love Charlotte's?
Oh my god, that one's the worst
character. The worst character.
But honestly,
I don't know, what was the party you went with?
I went with the red hair dude with the sword.
Okay, so you heard his really bad voice acting.
Yeah,
where it was like
I did not choose Charlotte.
Going, what was it like? Yeah, he his voice acting in the one scene in the beginning of the game where it's like the character model is doing a lot of emoting and he is doing nothing.
Yeah, and he's just like, and I must defend.
It's very much just read from the page.
But that's not like, to me, that's not even that bad. And even Charlotte's not even that bad. Like the voices themselves, it's just the writing is just so dumb. It's just not.
Well, the writing it's a straight up Super Nintendo era writing.
Yeah, it's not.
They didn't change the script.
It's not like they're not adding any literary accents to it.
You're not getting a thought-provoking game.
No.
You're not getting Final Fantasy VII remake with this remake. This was like the opposite remake. This was we're keeping everything very much the same.
Yeah. And I wish that they did take it up a notch a little bit. Just for I mean, I can only imagine you're only going to like this game if you like the original and if you like JRPGs in this style. Anyone else will not like this game. I can almost guarantee that. Because it's just
I would full-heartedly agree with that.
Yeah, it's just so niche.
And I like this game, but that's also because I loved the original. I grew up with it.
I have no attachment.
I will say it's a lot better than the Secret of Mana remake that they tried doing.
Oh, okay.
That one was really bad.
Yeah,
so
it just
at
wasn't
least
a fit.
Square Enix is somewhat better now than they were then.
Yeah.
I think it also helps that just like Final Fantasy VII, Square Enix has stopped trying to force their games into some first-party engine that they spend a lot of money and time on, and they finally just said, okay, we're going to use Unreal for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's helped Square Enix a lot.
Yeah, overall, not a big fan of the game. But I don't know. Maybe I'll keep playing it because it is nice to have like a new RPG on the Switch.
How far did you get in?
I'm probably about 10 hours in.
Okay. So you haven't even gotten to the first like class change yet?
No. I just picked up.
The class system's an interesting mechanic.
Yeah.
The game's really not that difficult of a game. There's some boss fights that are really difficult only because your AI is just really dumb. So there's these area attacks that kind of like, this part of the map is glowing, it's going to shoot up spikes, and your AI just sits there and goes, okay, I'll stand over it.
Yeah, I've learned that to just switch to them.
The AI.
Just switch to them and move them. Yeah, I don't know. It's not a very impressive title, but it is nice to have a new RPG on the Switch because I've been looking. I'm trying to find some gems for you guys to play on Switch in that action RPG style, not a turn-based style.
Next week is Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Deluxe remaster. So there's another one on the Switch coming.
Yeah, I've been seeing that. But you don't recommend that either to me, right?
It's an action RPG. It's less anime than the second game, but it's still pretty anime.
But to me, it's that's not the bad part. It's just the rest of the game is very lackluster. Like when I see Xenoblade Chronicles on the Switch now, I don't know. I think it's called Xenoblade Chronicles. Maybe Xenoblade Chronicles X or something.
Xenoblade Chronicles was the game that they came out on the Switch.
Yeah. When I see that, I'm
Chronicles
like, okay.
X was the game that came out on Wii U.
That has a nice production value. The maps look good. Looks like they spent some good time developing.
As long as you don't play it in handheld, yes. Yeah. Handheld looks terrible. It's one of the worst games to look at on handheld mode.
Oh wow. Good warning.
It looks fine when you're playing in docked, but it does not transfer well to handheld.
Yeah.
Like I wish I could show you footage from handheld mode.
I'll take a look.
It's really downscaled. I'm talking like maybe 420p.
Really?
It's really rough.
Well, even if you play it on that's weird because the dock doesn't have any hardware in it. I don't know why they would do that. You know what I mean? It's like when you dock it, it gets more powerful.
It's definitely battery life, I think.
Yeah, probably. That's probably what it is. But I mean, when I see that game, I'm like, all right, this has like some nice production to it, because that's what's lacking in Trials of Mana. It's just very unrefined. I mean, you might as well have stick figures running around. You know, the maps are just very ugly to look at. But again, I'm 10 hours in, so I'll give it a fair shake. I'll do my best to try to get through as much as I can with it, and I'll keep you guys updated on all of it. So far, those are the 3 RPGs that I've been playing, and I have been looking for some stuff before these new titles come out, because I am excited for these new titles, and we will talk about them. Are you guys been playing anything new?
Just the same old mix of Apex Season 5, Warzone, and streaming the Trails of Cold Steel, which I'm really liking. And my copy, finally, I had a huge problem with GameStop shopping on their website, but I finally got the third game in the series in, which, long story short, GameStop, once Persona 5, I picked that up from them when their stores open, I am done.
You hear that, GameStop? You lost a faithful one.
Well, so I'll explain. I used the last of my Power Points rewards to get a coupon. I was able to get the game new for $15. It said in stock on their website. I waited maybe a week or two, and I looked at my order, and it said, awaiting availability. I called them. They're like, yeah, it's on back ordered. The page for the actual product still said in stock, ships within 24 hours. So I was pretty much just like, all right, so you're false advertising. And as soon as I started sending some emails, lo and behold, a couple hours later, it ships.
There you go.
So I wonder why.
Because you were bitching at him.
Damn right I was. I'm done with GameStop completely.
What was the last game you said you're going to get?
Once my copy of Persona 5 Royal that I pre-ordered in store, once I pick that up, that's the last thing I have business with them.
Oh, so it's the hardware or the hard copy isn't released, but the soft copy is released? Because I know that game's out, isn't it?
So the problem with it's been out, but stores are not open, and I ordered mine physically in the store, so I can't pick it up because there's no store for me to go pick it up at.
They just shipped it.
They can't ship it online because I didn't order it online.
Okay, I see.
Yep, that's GameStop.
I
wouldn't be surprised if when I go to get my copy,
logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised when I go to pick up my copy. They just straight up tell me. I'm not going to be surprised if they tell me, oh yeah, we didn't get that copy in, or for some reason they sold that copy already online, and I have to just not get it, and they'll give me money back. And I'll be pissed because it was a limited edition, collector's edition, and I got screwed out of it, but whatever.
Yeah. You're going to have to close your window, though. Those birds are chirping away, bro.
Yeah, they're loud.
No, that is absolutely mind-blowing to me. Like, that's how their system is set up logistically. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Like-
it's not surprising. It's not
For GameStop,
surprising.
Yeah, true. You're right.
That
It's
company
just
is so
general-
fucked.
Like that's almost everyone. Like I don't have a separate
Q.
set of software to manage stock for my store and online. Like it's not two different things. It's the same software. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
No, it's they.
like it-
I'm sure they do that on purpose to try to sell out as much as possible. You know,
Yeah.
just push whatever they have in the store. They can get more inventory, and then they can say, "Look, we sold this many copies." Meanwhile, they're fucking over people.
I'm not going to be surprised if when stores do reopen or are able to reopen, if a lot of them don't.
Yeah. Well, GameStop, I think they are priming to at least try. I haven't heard of any mass closures other than that one story.
I think they're the modern day Blockbuster at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I
think
definitely think
they're
so.
on the way out. We're just waiting for them to die.
Yeah. I definitely think they're on that they're near that era. All right. Jerry, anything new?
Not really. Like WoW, Shadowlands,
Yeah.
beta, alpha bullshit. Yay. Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, we've all been kind of itching for something new. But we got some new titles coming up.
That's been interesting, but that's a December release, so there's nothing for it yet, really.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, I've been playing Bannerlord, dude.
Yeah, I've been thinking about
There's
actually
Bannerlord.
getting that because it looks cool. Definitely looks cool. All right. Into news. CD Projekt Red has surpassed Ubisoft to become Europe's most valuable. Where's my thing? Europe's most valuable video game company. Give it up to our boys in Poland. Thank you, Poland. CD Projekt Red. This is cool, man. I mean, they deserve it, in my opinion. They created the greatest game ever made, so why wouldn't they be the most valuable? I mean, they should be the most valuable gaming company in the world. Who do you think is? Is it Nintendo?
Yeah.
EA?
Oh, yeah.
Are we talking?
That would be interesting if you threw Nintendo and like Sony, Microsoft into the mix.
All right, I know the answer.
Okay.
I know
Are
the
we
answer.
talking as publisher, as developer, or as both?
As
Yeah.
I would assume developer.
Okay.
Because CD Projekt Red is not the publisher; they're the developer.
Right.
Right.
They're the publisher too, though.
They
Are they
publish as
also the
well.
publisher?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure that they publish.
Because there's some. I mean, there's plenty of game studios that are just
Let's
the
do-
developer, and then
let's-
another
because I
company
have
comes
the-
in and publishes.
I have
So if you're going just games, it's EA.
I have the specs here or the numbers here for publisher. If you guys want to know the biggest publisher.
I'm guessing
It's not EA, I will say
EA
that.
and Rockstar are the top.
I'm gonna assume it's one of the big three, like Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft.
Yeah.
I know Nintendo publishes a lot.
It's Tencent. Tencent is the biggest.
Oh,
You know, actually, that makes sense with China.
yeah.
Tencent, Sony Interactive.
That makes sense because literally to put anything in China, you have to sign your rights away to Tencent.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah.
There's
Yes,
all right, so
every
there's Tencent is number
every
one.
video game has been published by Tencent, basically.
2017
Okay,
they
that
had
makes sense.
18.2 billion in revenue. Number 2,
So who's second then?
Sony Interactive Entertainment.
Oh, that's as of 2017.
That's the numbers that I have for 2017.
I'm sure it's only worse now.
Yeah.
Okay,
worse
because
now,
that's
dude.
the same year that Nintendo put out the Switch. So I'm
Let me see if I can
intrigued
find
to
an
see what those
updated
numbers
list.
would be more
If you're
recent.
talking, but when I'm, who is the first that isn't a hardware manufacturer and isn't Tencent?
And Apple was
Ooh.
third, by the way. On
I
that
would
list.
assume EA.
Like that's what. Yeah, that was my train of
I would
thinking.
assume, yeah.
Because
All
I
right,
was
so-
thinking we're going that way. But
So-
if you include hardware makers, that's a different ballpark to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. So according to this list on Bourse Club, I don't know what this website is. The 10 richest video game developers in the world. Number 1 goes to Sony. They're number 1, and I'm sure hardware sales go into that. Number 2 is Microsoft Studios. Well, it says game developers. So Sony's number 1, Microsoft, Nintendo's number 3, Sega number 4.
Well, that's what I'm wondering because that's a publishing thing where I don't think hardware necessarily goes in that, but because Sony gave money to Spider-Man, they now get counted as the revenue.
yeah.
They
I'm
didn't
sure
actually
something
develop
like that.
it,
happened.
And if Sega is on that list at number 4, I'm not surprised by that. Like, even in America, where, like, you know, Sega took a huge dip, Sega still has a lot of business in Japan.
Activision Blizzard number 5.
You know, arcades are still big.
That surprises me. They're bigger than EA?
Barely. They're barely bigger. Namco's bigger than EA as well by like barely.
Bandai
That's
Namco, I
surprising.
mean, they're the
I could
publisher
see
of
it, but,
Dark Souls. They publish a lot of From Software stuff.
But
I'm
EA
really
makes
surprised by
money.
that.
You know what I mean? Like EA makes money. That's the thing with
No,
EA.
I know. Like it's one of those things where I'm surprised by that because like sure, dude, like Blizzard stuff makes a lot of money. So does COD. So that makes sense. It's just always what is the number one seller every year, no matter what? It's FIFA.
All right,
like-
let me see here.
Like that's hard competition. That's why I'm thinking EA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you no one
And
else.
soccer is the most
FIFA.
popular sport in the world. So yeah.
Yeah, like if you got FIFA and then you cover up the rest of the world with Madden and whatever, they're gonna buy it every year.
And then all of your games
you have the
with
largest
hardcore
ingrown-
microtransactions.
Yeah. Well, no, that's why I'm
When
not
you
surprised.
just buy up devs and kill them off.
Activision Blizzard's there.
So CD
Like,
Projekt
I'm sort
Red.
of surprised, but I'm also not surprised.
So this is interesting. The way that this is stated, because they're the most valuable, meaning they have the most market capitalization. CD Projekt Red's market capitalization was $6.8 billion in December 2019, when Bloomberg said the company had posted a return of 21,000% over the previous decade, comfortably the biggest rise of any stock then listed on the Stocks Europe 600 index.
Well, yeah, all of their games are from this decade, so they started at zero.
Yeah, I know.
But still, props to them, you know.
The company has surpassed European games industry heavyweights Ubisoft's current market valuation of 8.12 billion. And then by way of comparison, Rockstar owners Take-Two market valuation is 16.13 billion. FIFA or EA is 34 billion. Nintendo is 53 billion. Activision Blizzard is 56 billion. So those are updated numbers. And it's like they're not even coming close to Microsoft, Sony, or Tencent, just because.
It's funny for me because like Ubisoft is like one of the companies I think of. Like, you know, when I think of Ubisoft, there's a few games I think of. Of course, the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Well, Ubisoft would have
Rainbow
been king of,
Six.
yeah, yeah. I guess all
They're the Tom Clancy.
stuff.
They're the Tom Clancy publisher.
True.
But
like,
and then
the thing,
what else?
exactly.
Just
but
Dance?
This is what I was. This is where I'm going with this. Is Ubisoft, and this is why I think they've surpassed them. Is all of those games are what I think of 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Dude, Just Dance 2020
Division
came
2?
out on the Wii. Jerry, Just Dance 2020, I believe, came out on the Wii.
Yeah, like that, exactly. Like that, they figured out that the late aughts, early tens, like perfectly. But like for 2020, it is a lot of like, we do want to see more from Ubisoft.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 is what I want to see from Ubisoft. Also on Mario Rabbids 2. I actually really like that game, so I'd like to see a second one.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's really interesting. It's interesting that CD Projekt Red, which has only released Witcher 3 as a successful game, has gotten them that much money.
Witcher 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. And I
I
mean,
think
Witcher 1 and
was
2
like
didn't
And the
really
hype
sell.
thought-
but still,
Those games
I
didn't
mean, the
really
hype
sell.
surrounding Cyberpunk as well.
that too.
Yeah, but that game's not making any money,
Well,
you know?
Not yet, but
they've
it
been at
definitely
pre-orders for a
is
year.
considered a big,
It's been making
valuable
money.
asset.
Yeah, and it's definitely been making money because you've been able to pre-order it since last year.
That is true. Yeah. I wish they wouldn't count those sales figures into those games. They definitely do that to inflate sales, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But I guess the game like
Trap,
that you
could've-
can, because it's so hyped up, you know?
You could have, like last March, Steam was giving away keys for it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. All right. Moving on.
we can get into this later, but I also think they deserve it because yes, The Witcher 3 was fantastic, but I fully expect Cyberpunk to be, or CD Projekt Red at this point is the only game studio I trust to actually make a visually pleasing game. Like,
I trust EA as well. I will say I trust EA. Their games have looked really good lately.
it's a different world though to me.
I don't know, man. Star
Not
Wars
on the
looked
same
really
level.
good. Not the one with Cal, the Battlefront games. They looked really good. They were surprisingly good looking.
Like no, they looked.
If you
good,
fix
but, like,
if you fix the doors, Final Fantasy VII remake looked really good.
It did, but it's not
true.
not.
I'm just like, it's not CD. It's not
The
Witcher
doors.
3 where it's like, okay, we'll get into it later.
I know what you mean.
The Unreal Engine 5, but it's like Unreal Engine 5 looks really great. CDPR is the only company I think has any idea of how to actually use
Implement it.
anything that was shown in that
No,
demo.
yeah, I know
I
what
guess
you
is what
mean.
I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, the scale of Witcher 3 plus the detail at which that they were able to do that, it really is impressive. No other game. I mean, I would say Rockstar's would be second in line. Rockstar is the only other company that can compete on like that level of detail. You'll walk into a house that looks completely different than another house that you visited 6,000 times, you know. It's crazy how good they are at that.
A lot of it is that detail, and a lot of it's just them utilizing everything. Like they're to me, CDPR is like the new Crisis. Like
Yeah.
it's that kind of meme of like, if you want graphics, it's here you go.
Yeah.
You gonna run that at max settings?
Yeah. Doobie, can you do me a
that's
favor?
like the point is like,
Can you
even
drop your mic
still-
down a notch? You're a little hot on the mic.
like even still, you can get a 2080 Ti right now and like still not even play Witcher 3 at like 4K 60
Yeah.
Like-
No, it's pretty rough.
with everything on it.
But it runs
Like,
well even on like a 1080 or a 1060. You know, you can still play it on a 1060. but you still
can't max
it out on a
forever
2080.
970. Like
I'm running
you can
a-
run it.
I'm running a 1080 right now, so I think I should still be good for Cyberpunk.
Oh, you're still good. Yeah, yeah.
You're
like,
good for
I
like the
just
next
mean
2 years.
I just
you're
can't
not-
do RTX voice yet.
No, well you can, but don't worry.
It's a huge workaround on that.
But no, I guess my point is like it's in that realm. They're in that realm, new Crisis realm to me. Of
Yeah,
like
I would agree.
we're gonna wait till this next generation of graphics cards to actually see what this fucking game looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, I am excited because from what we've seen in the trailers, it looks like it's all pre-rendered. You know what I mean? Like it looks so good, and to see that on a massive scale without implementing as much crunch as other companies have, it's going to be pretty cool to see. Well, speaking of which, Unreal Engine 5 has been revealed. I'm going to play the video in the background here if you guys want to take a look. This really kind of shocked a lot in gaming because this is kind of the first look that we got at like what next gen is going to kind of look like. Mind you, this isn't released yet. I don't know.
It's not out till end of next year.
Yeah, and I don't think they give like pre-release copies out to game developers. It comes out when it comes out.
Some
could be
will,
wrong,
but it'll
though.
just be for some will get it early, but it's going to be for testing purposes, not development purposes.
Yeah, okay. I thought this
like,
was really impressive.
No, you're not going to be able to buy. You're not going to be able to buy a license to use it and make a game with it till probably end of next year.
Yeah. One thing that they do really cool with this now is that anyone can use it for free, and they don't start charging you for the license until you made your first $1 million. So this is excellent. I love this
That's a really good
idea.
incentive.
That's a great incentive because already a lot of games use Unreal Engine, right? They already use it.
It's definitely a standard, and especially if you go to school for like graphic design in terms of coding, you know what I mean, or like game design or something. It's a standard that you get taught, like you would be like C++ or like, you know, you get taught C++ in programming or C# or C, you know, like it's or Java, you know, it's like that kind of like, this is a standard along with Unity. Like this is what
Right.
most people learn. But
Yeah.
at the same time, that's why that's very shocking and cool to me to hear what the new licensing changes, because I haven't seen it used a ton. Like I've seen it used all the time for personal projects, but actual games, it's not nearly as anywhere close to being as big as you think it would be.
Yeah.
Especially for it being taught as like a standardized thing.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool that they did that just in terms of just a business idea, because they are, like you said, they're like a standard. So to implement that, and $1 million is like, you know, that's a lot of money, but when you're trying to make a game, that's a good sort of like little nudge. Like, all right, we can we might as well just start using this engine because we can get it up to $1 million and then we're good to go. And then from there we can see if our game's going to be successful and make money.
Exactly. That's why this is so interesting, because that's a huge incentivization to learn it and also be like, cool, I can make an indie game with this instead of Unity now.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm only expecting 3 million in sales, they're not going to get a lot. The licensing fees aren't going to be high, but I can have a amazing looking game even on a budget indie scale. You know what I mean? Instead of being like, cool, I'm going to pay Unity 10K and be fine.
Yeah. No, it's really
That's
cool they
huge.
did that. So there was 2 pieces of the technology that they basically wanted to
Are
showcase.
sick, honestly.
Is nanite, and what was the other one? It was like Lumis or something.
Lumen.
The
right?
Lumen, not Luminous. Luminous was fun.
No, it's just
square thing. It's
Yeah.
Lumosity? No, what is it?
Or
No.
Lumosity? I thought it was just like Lumen or whatever.
I thought it was just
It's
Lumen as
Lumen
well. It is
something.
Lumen. It is Lumen. Lumen and nanite.
Oh, okay, Lumen. I was gonna say Luminous was the engine that Square built to do Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
Lumen is pretty cool for lighting. It's fake ray tracing, basically.
Yeah.
It's just dynamic. It's dynamically moving lighting without actually having to render ray tracing, which is important and what I still think is going to be the standard for a bit before we see true hardware ray tracing on everything.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. It looks good.
Yeah.
The way more impressive thing to me is the nanite, whatever.
Yeah, nanite.
That thing's insane.
I don't understand. I don't think anyone really understands how they were able to make this work. At least I've been trying to look it up. I've been trying to find if anyone has an idea on how exactly they're able to do this, because essentially it utilizes the render everything your eyes see principle, where you just render what's in picture. Yet it's able to compute billions and I guess up to trillions of different triangles that render out detail, and it's able to just spit it out and spit it out in a way as if there's normal maps and low poly reses. So you can that pop-in issue that I was talking about in Final Fantasy, that would not exist should this implementation happen. In fact, it would be so much more high fidelity. They would be able to really produce high fidelity. I mean, they were saying these ultra res scans, you could just throw them in there and they're just gonna fucking work, which is
So
mind-boggling.
Bringing up Final Fantasy, and I do believe that they said that they are able to import stuff from Unreal Engine 4 into Unreal Engine 5 pretty much with no difficulty. Do you think that Final Fantasy 7 for the next part that they're working on now should keep working on the game, but almost be ready to move everything to Unreal Engine 5 to accomplish a lot of the stuff that a lot of people are thinking about, like the big open world?
Maybe some aspects, like maybe like some lighting, maybe some feature sets. I can imagine them just fully utilizing all of it. But I don't know.
In fact, like the implementation
honestly.
of the assets without needing to downscale stuff is a huge thing for Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah, and it does clear up a lot
They
of
showed off
work.
that statue.
Right.
It's one of those things though. It's the more I've thought about it, like it would have to be ridiculously easy to do that, and even if it was ridiculously easy to do that, I still don't know if they would actually do that. And that's just trying to think of projects and scale, and that's the more I thought about it, of like that is a lot of change still. It's not that big of a change, but it's still enough of a change that even squashing bugs, keeping updates, things like that, if you're trying to do this scale project of what they're doing of here's 18 fucking games and to make one because we're done.
Yeah, I just
Like,
want to play this.
You've already
like,
committed to the project. I don't think you have as much leeway to swap it up.
Yeah, and
Like,
part of
okay.
that is also like the whole fact that like the SSD. One of the things I made mention of was like, so a lot of the stuff that they did with like the loading was because it's coming from the SSD of the PS5.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if for PC are you going to see games that are going to say like, are we going to have a requirement on read write speed on SSD that this will have to
kinda
be a
hope
game
so.
you have to play on an SSD. You can't put this
Yeah,
onto
I
your regular hard drive.
100%.
I kind of hope so.
100%. Because in
I
order
do
to even
think-
implement,
I think
in order to
What's
even
the
implement,
current cost of like a PC SSD for like a
cheap
terabyte?
as shit, dude.
it's not expensive. It's not, but it is an
It's-
upgrade
it's
cost.
still-
It is an upgrade.
It's
cost.
still more than a regular hard drive, but I can go right now and buy a 120 for like $20.
But like that goes,
because I'm
your
actually
requirement. It's a memory. It's the price of a memory card.
I'm at the point where I'm under a terabyte on my regular hard drive and my SSD, which I think is like a 120. It's mostly just for my operating system. It's not a lot of space on there. I don't want to put games on there.
You can go buy a terabyte SSD for like $80 now, $70. You can find them cheaper. I bought a terabyte for $65 a couple of months ago.
yeah.
Like that's a cheap one. I wouldn't recommend that one, but there's options where you can even get a Western Digital Black like 1 terabyte for probably about $100.
Yeah, because that's like where the change is coming now with the main consoles is the fact that they're moving to Sony has a proprietary SSD. We know that the Xbox new console is going to use an SSD. PC gaming is going to have to start switching over to SSDs.
Yeah, I want to play this clip real quick.
The portal, it's open. Don't fail me now.
So when I saw this, I was like, this is fucking pretty insane. I mean, it's essentially she's flying through this like dilapidated city that's falling apart. But the idea is why they're showing this is that it's none of it is low poly res, none of it's normal maps. You know, normally when you implement something like that, things that are further in the distance are downscaled and they just look like a shittier poly version of what it's actually supposed to be. This is just streaming right through, and it's all in its highest fidelity that they have it. And I still don't fully understand how it's possible that they're doing this, but it's fucking cool, and hopefully it gets rid of popping, because that's one of my biggest pet peeves. I hate popping so much.
A lot of people notice that the tunnel part where you're like tunneling in almost every other game, we would sit there and go, all right, hidden loading screen.
That's
they
not
said,
a loading
no, that's
screen.
not really a loading screen. We were just trying to show off the graphical like fidelity of those rocks.
Yeah, I paused on that
and
scene.
I actually kind of believe them.
Oh no, that's what it was. When I saw this first demo, I was like, oh, they want to show you the detail on these rocks. I mean, look how close you can get, and not lose any real fidelity, which is pretty cool. And then the way her hands kind of just automatically place on there is cool.
We're just so I'm trying to think of the word. We're so conditioned to think of those sequences as loading screens.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
they're really not going to be anymore.
They could have done that in a way that didn't make it look like a loading screen. You know what I mean? They could have showcased that in a much better way.
I mean, I just think back immediately to Final Fantasy VII's elevators and thin places that you have to crawl through.
I mean, there's so many.
Are clearly loading screens.
There's so many, yeah. So this was a really cool demo, but again, we're not going to see this for at least like four years, because it's not released yet. And then once they get it in, then they're going to have to develop these games. So we're still a ways out. This is like next gen. Like this is, we'll see this later on. And like I said, I don't think we're going to see any games pop up utilizing Unreal 5 in the next 3-4 years, just because I'm not quite certain if any of them get early licensed copies before anyone else. I could be wrong. Maybe someone has like a better relationship with them, or maybe Epic themselves has a game that is going to utilize it. But it is cool to see that that this also was running on a console, which is nice to see, and not just high fidelity PC or high end PC. So that's cool. Nanite Lumen looks great. Tim Sweeney from Epic, very impressed, of course, with the PS5. He says it's going to help drive future PCs. Normally, it's the other way around, right? Normally, it's, hey, the PC market is what's going to push console gaming. Here, he's singing the praises of Sony's next-gen console. He states, during a press briefing for the company's newly announced Unreal Engine 5, which is optimized to work with next-gen consoles, he says the PS5 is, quote, remarkably balanced device. It has an immense amount of GPU power, but it also multi-order bandwidth increase in storage management. That is going to be absolutely critical, he says. It's one thing to render everything that can fit in memory, he adds, but a much more impressive feat to render a world that might be tens of gigabytes in size almost instantaneously, as Sony's new consoles and its M.2 SSD are promising. We've been working super close with Sony for quite a long time on storage. The storage architecture on the PS5 is far ahead of anything you can buy on PC for any amount of money right now. It's going to help drive future PCs. The PC market is going to see this thing ship and say, wow, SSDs are going to need to catch up with this. So this is pretty interesting. He's very impressed with it. Now, the way that Xbox's SSD is much more like a PC, and that's why its bandwidth is pretty much half of what the PS5's supposed bandwidth is. I wonder how exactly they're going to deal with that and how much that is a limiting factor when dealing with games. Like, I wonder when we see exclusive PS5 titles, what that level of fidelity is going to be as opposed to an exclusive Xbox One X or exclusive PC title. Because if there is a marginal gap there, that's going to be quite interesting to see. I don't think we'll see too much of a gap, but from what we're seeing here, it looks like PS5 has really got some impressive hardware that they're doing some neat little tricks to kind of squeak out some extra stuff, extra bells and whistles. So that's cool. Surprising no one, Unreal Engine will support Nintendo Switch as well, of course.
Yeah, and iOS and Android and everything. So that's why I take caution, though, just because the demo looks like, I don't know, here's
the demo is
Horizon
what,
Zero Dawn
the demo
2.
Looks like
every game's not going to look like this.
The demo what it is. It's a demo of what things could look like.
Yeah.
The majority of things are not going to look like that.
And it's a demo designed to sell it. So they're going to give it the best case scenario.
Tech demo. We look back
and that
at
is
the
where
Luminous
I do
tech
have
demo.
That's where I have some issues with it, because the technology, I was super impressed by the technology. The technology behind it's really sick. The actual look of the demo wasn't that impressive to me, personally. Like, I saw a lot of people in comments saying, like, heck yeah, this is awesome. Like, it looked like a slightly better Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, cool. Like, I don't know. Personally, it didn't actually look groundbreaking, and that's what kind of scares me a little bit, especially because even with how good the PS5 is supposed to be, that was at 1440p at 30 frames per second.
I do think that maybe they should have had like a different art direction. There's a lot of browns. It was a lot of rock. You know,
the detail. No, like in the detail was fantastic.
Yeah, that's really what I was looking at.
For me, the lighting and the loading are the two things that like stood out the most for me.
But like, why a desert?
Because
why not like a colorful forest or like a beautiful city? You know what I mean? Where you can really show off.
Yeah.
The tech.
That was an art choice that I didn't like. But like, that's where I'm getting to. Is like, I still don't think it was super impressive, because sure, you can only make a rock look so pretty, but like, some of it looked good. Some of it honestly didn't look that great to me.
And not just the rock looking pretty. It's never been one for me where it's like a game could be gameplay wise mediocre, but I go, oh no, but it's a great game because this rock looks nice.
Yeah. Well,
it's not going to change the fact that games still have to have good core.
No, not at all. I'm speaking purely on like a graphical fidelity standpoint here. Like, I like compare that to CD Projekt Red Cyberpunk trailers. It's night and day. What I think looks better. Mm-hmm. It's Cyberpunk. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that is where I worry a little bit of like, this PS5 is supposed to be fantastic, and it did this, which is good, but it's like, I can do this on my PC already, and it's running it at 1440p at 30 frames per second.
And all of this
completely maxed out the PS5 already.
Yeah.
All of this, of course, is in a controlled environment.
Yeah. And in a controlled environment,
when we see, like, I'm excited to see Cyberpunk, like, not just in a controlled environment, but like straight up running on everything. Like, I mean, we're getting close to it.
Oh yeah, it's around the corner.
They'll start showing off that like what this game not just looks like in a controlled environment.
Yeah, it's around the corner. New game plus Expo, June 23rd digital event from Sega.
There's Sega is one of 14 different developers and publishers that'll be there.
Yeah, you have Arc System.
There's Arc System Works. I think Falcon. No, Falcon.
What is it, like a fighting game thing?
Well, ArcSys does a bunch of stuff besides fighting games. They do beat 'em ups as well. They do a couple things. Inti Creates is the people behind. I think they were the people behind Bloodstained. You got Koei Tecmo, of course. Sega of America and Atlas West. So I'm interested to see what Atlas has. If it's more Persona, who knows? But and then Spike Chunsoft is an interesting name.
It's a very interesting name.
Well, they're the guys behind the Danganronpa series. They're the ones behind the Somnium Files. They're the publisher for those games. And then Way Forward is the Shantae people. So there's some names here. It's not a huge thing, but I think Sega is definitely the one I'm looking at the most because they usually do a they usually do a South by Southwest thing, and they had to cancel that this year. So I'm thinking that whatever they had to show there, they're going to show here.
Okay.
But right now we're kind of no E3, no real big things. So this is the closest we have is these digital events.
No big thing. What? We have Jeff Keighley.
Oh, and his Summer of Game Awesome. I don't know what the hell it's called again.
No one even knows what's going on with it.
We did see the Unreal Engine. That was a thing we did see. So
was that part of it?
I believe that was the thing he was teasing about.
This is what I'm seeing.
Like, he actually did one.
I don't know what's associated with him, what isn't, what he's promoting, and what he isn't promoting. I feel like he just stepped in and was like, "Hey,
I know,
I'm putting my name on your thing."
I think that's what he did.
Which is smart by him, don't get me wrong. I mean,
no, it's genius.
It makes him a household name at this point.
Looking on his Twitter, he's just like, oh yeah, there's a press conference tomorrow. Make sure you tune into the stream. Like, it's the one for Valorant tomorrow, 11 a.m.
Oh, I don't give a
and it's
shit.
for a Summer Game Fest stream. He has one with Disney Plus and the Muppets.
Valorant is still relevant at this point?
Oh yeah. That game ain't going
nowhere. I gave
nowhere,
up on
man.
that thing.
It's not going nowhere. Yeah, the Epic thing was, I think, part of it. I think that was part of his thing. I mean, he was tweeting about it. Very odd.
I feel like he's just going to tweet about everything.
Yeah. I mean, it has begun. It is something that has begun. Tim Sweeney and Epic joined me to discuss PS5, Unreal, and the future of Fortnite. Oh, wow. And that has almost 300,000 views. I missed that. I'm going to have to check it out.
Can't wait for dynamic lighting in Fortnite.
I love that nerdy shit, dude. I'll listen to it all day. All right, so there's a PS5 event that's been delayed June 4th, and it's been delayed until we don't know when. That's the consensus here.
Yeah, so right now the only thing they've really acknowledged about the PS5 is that they're going to show games.
Oh wow, this guy here, Jeff Grubb. I wrote about the summer game mess and updated the calendar. He's calling it the summer game mess. Jeff Grubb.
The whole thing definitely feels messy. I
mean, look at this. There's like, this is a mess. Cyberpunk is supposed to be revealed on June 11th. I mean, this goes all the way up to
Mel
August.
Gibson picture.
Yeah, I saw. Where is that? What is that? Mel Gibson picture. A picture of Mel Gibson. Sign me up. This is just too much, man. So Sony's, I guess, delaying theirs as well. So
it looks like too he's gonna do multiple. Just call it your Twitch stream, dude. This is all this is. Like, just say it's that. There were multiple events on the same day that looked like they were also scheduled differently. Just say, hey, dude, I'm gonna be on Twitch to cover this at this.
See, this is what I think the issue is with these types of things. I think these companies want to stream on their own platforms just so they can get the revenue and they can get the clicks onto their site and hopefully get some like cross sales going on. So when you implement them wanting to stream on their own platforms and then trying to gather them together and stream all in one place, then you kind of get this mess. It's kind of the same thing that happens with these award shows and all the sponsors.
Sure, like, and that's my issue, I guess, is like it's not really an event if it's like Well,
Oh,
from
it's definitely
10
not an
to
event.
10 to 1, we're going to do this. Then we're going to leave for an hour and we're going to start a new event on the same day for a different company. It's not an event. If it's
No.
an event, like when I think of like E3, no, it's a 3-day event. No, it's not. It's 3 separate events in the same day
Yeah.
that are all different events.
Yeah. Evo 2020 will be all online, which we know.
Yeah, the lineup though
What's up with the lineup?
has completely changed. So games with bad netcode, they're gone. So Smash Brothers online, like the Smash Brothers Ultimate, it's not a part of Evo at this point. They completely heard of it because the online is trash.
Yep.
Street Fighter 5 has a notoriously mediocre netcode. I think is now a side game. Dragon Ball Fighters, which is known for having a bad netcode, also gone. Replaced with games with good netcode, like Skullgirls. Skullgirls is back now because it has good rollback netcode. A game called Them Fighting Herds, which originally started as a fan game of My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, and actually has animators that worked on My Little Pony who came to work on that game. They had a cease and desist, so they changed the ponies to cows. Really weird game. Has good netcode. It's in. So Evo looks very different with the online now. Like, it's not just the fact that it's online. It's now that they have... And I think this is going to force a lot of companies to reevaluate their netcodes. Because fans are now in a position where if they want to compete in these games, it's online. No. And they're not going to want to have shitty netcode.
Maybe maybe fighting games that, like exclusive fighting games, but Nintendo's never going to fix their netcode. I'm pretty much...
Nintendo doesn't, because let's be honest, they don't view Smash Brothers as a fighting game. They've always viewed it as a party game. They don't really support the scene. They don't give pot bonuses. No. They don't put money into it like Capcom does, like Arc Sys.
And I'm just talking about I'm talking about Nintendo in general. They're not gonna.
Oh yeah, they're never.
It's a piece of shit. It'll always be a piece of shit.
I mean, this is the reason why a lot of people were very adamant that Guilty Gear, the new Guilty game that is now postponed to 2021 for good reason, why they were so adamant that it has rollback netcode, that they abandoned this delay-based netcode because it just doesn't work. Like in a good environment, it works. But when you're sitting on the West Coast and you're like, I want to play somebody online, you got to ask people, are you from the West Coast? Because I don't want to play you if you're from the East Coast. Our connection is going to be crap. But with rollback netcode, that connection is a lot more stable.
Yeah.
So we're seeing if these games want to have a spot in Evo, you got to have good netcode, and the players are going to complain if you don't.
I'm curious to know how much of them will actually care.
I think some of the staples of Evo do care. I think the people who are behind like actual fighting games that are more indie, Skullgirls, they don't have a big company behind them that's putting on a world tour. And that game's kind of getting a bit of a resurgence because of this. But like
is it enough of a resurgence to implement the cost of overhauling a netcode? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, they don't have to overhaul their netcode because it's good.
Well, I'm saying like any other game,
Any other game. I mean, the fact of the matter is it's really hard to actually implement a new netcode into an already established game. So like Street Fighter 5 had problems and they were able to fix that, but it took them a very long time to even get to mediocre from the god-awful netcode they had. They were rollback, but they implemented it in pretty much the worst way possible. Which caused a lot of issues.
It probably cost them a lot of money.
It probably did. But Street Fighter 6, they'll probably fix that. It's going to be the next game. So like a Dragon Ball Fighters 2, maybe if that ever comes out, that should have rollback netcode. But yeah, it's like that's the thing with Smash is they're not going to completely overhaul that game to fix its netcode at the core. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's just not worth the money.
Hopefully they surprise us, but I'm not holding my breath.
No, it's such a low percent. But...
Nintendo also has no plans for a future Direct.
Yeah. So they announced, and this will tie into the next story.
Let's get into the next
Mario
story.
game.
Yeah.
And they did that as a shadow drop on YouTube and Twitter. And this is kind of how I feel like they're going to announce their games for a little bit. Is they're just going to shadow drop a trailer on YouTube and they'll tweet about it day of. And this is what Nintendo does, where like a Sony will announce Final Fantasy VII Remake 5 years in advance. And then Nintendo will shadow drop a trailer and be like, oh yeah, this game comes out in 2 months.
This game looks cool. I think it looks pretty sick.
Yeah. There's a lot of people back and forth talking about it. There's a big fan base for the first 2 games on N64 and GameCube that want
the one that I played.
Traditional turn-based combat. They want partners. They want it to be not the I don't say the children's game, but the very easy and very silly that was Sticker Star and Color Splash.
Yeah.
That kind of took away the originality of these original characters and kind of just gave you, oh, you have your partner. It's Toad, who looks like every other Toad. Where like Thousand Year Door had like very distinct Toad designs for like hundreds of Toads.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks interesting. The combat looks really weird with this kind of spinning thing that you have to spin to line up enemies. Doesn't seem to be any consumable items like a Sticker Star and Color Splash had, so it seems to be a bit of a return to the original, but not a full return. But it looks interesting enough that I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
The writing in the Paper Mario games has always been really good. That's never been an issue. The writing has always been really funny, really quirky, and really original.
Yeah, this looks pretty cool. Yeah, that combat looks interesting. I think it looks
And this
great.
is the first, the new game that we know of that's not a remake or a deluxe edition or something like that, that is actually coming out after May.
Yeah.
So July.
The Origami King. I like this origami aesthetic as well.
Yeah, I really like the way it looks. They do a great job. They've always done a great job with this kind of craft design. Yoshi's Woolly World, Yoshi's Crafted World did a really good, solid job with this like incorporation of a yarn design or a wool design. Their teams know how to work with those like textures.
Venture Beat also says 3D Mario remasters and Pikmin 3 Deluxe are ready soon for release.
So this was part of a leak that happened that did mention a new Paper Mario game. And the announcement of a new Paper Mario game does give a little bit of credibility to this rumor of the 3D remasters, as well as apparently a Pikmin 3 Deluxe, which a lot of people have been clamoring about. The Wii U, like at this point now with the Wii U library, there's 2 games max now that have once they put them on the Switch, it's almost like you have the entire Wii U library on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be Pikmin 3 and Super Mario 3D World, which are 2 of the games listed here. And I can't blame them. Like, the Wii U didn't sell well because it was poorly designed, it was poorly marketed, it struggled with third-party support. But the original games it did have were really good. And so I'm not surprised that they're going to try to make as much money as they can by porting them, like the entire library, to the Switch, where it's a much larger install base. And it definitely is filler for them between major new releases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. And that's it. In the gaming section, not too much news there. All right, let's get into some of this stuff. I do want to talk about Keemstar versus H3H3, which is big, popular controversy. I love this kind of stuff. It is so interesting to me. I love the YouTube fighting drama.
Fuck Keemstar. Keemstar's
yeah,
right.
thanks. I was going to say it, but I'm glad you said it.
I will also add, this is why I sighed at the beginning. From an entertainment standpoint, this was not content cop. This, like, H3H3 he makes good videos. This was too long and dragged out and just kind of weirdly edited, and it was
this to
like,
me
entertainment value wise was like
The point of this, like, let's be honest, the people who are going to watch this video and really like it are the people who already don't like Keemstar.
Which is a large audience.
Which is a large audience. Yes, it is. And I know he said he didn't monetize it, whatever. the fact that like it just really sucks because like I was a big Etika fan. I really enjoyed Etika's videos. He was always like the guy. If I wanted to watch somebody pop off to a Nintendo announcement,
Well, this is kind of what I wanted to
I
get
would watch
into.
Etika. And then the whole thing with Keemstar and Etika really.
All right, so
That's where I like.
let me ask
really
you the
hated Keemstar.
All right, so for anyone who doesn't know, Keemstar, when the Etika drama was going on, where he was having his basically a mental breakdown in the public light, Keemstar thought it was a good idea to exploit it. He would bring him on his show. He talked to him. He kind of made a whole spectacle of it, as he does with most mental breakdowns on YouTube.
Because he's got a really, really toxic view of mental illness.
Not only that, he has a toxic view.
Toxic view of journalism.
He has
News.
and not even just that. He has a toxic view of entertainment and of content in general, which it's that TMZ thing. There are people that really love that sort of like vicious TMZ style of entertainment, where you just, if you're they believe if you're famous, you have everyone has the right to basically rip you to shreds, and he kind of feeds into that stuff. The problem with that is you get in a lot of trouble with that, and it leads into these kind of videos being exposed, and that's why these things have become so popular. Like, this is a second content cop that has hit multiple millions of views on the same guy. I don't think I've seen that done before. This is like, and this is like all new points than when the iDubbbz did.
The iDubbbz one was 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I mean, it didn't go into any of these other past transgressions. This was all kind of stuff that I wasn't really aware of. I thought this video felt more of like a defense from Ethan, and kind of an exposure on the type of person who would defend Keemstar rather than Keemstar himself, which I thought was an interesting sort of avenue to take. It's more of like, why would anyone be fans of this person? Why would anyone support this person when this is all of the stuff that he's only recently done, and he's constantly kind of lied about things? But the big thing that's been going on now is that there's a lot of Keemstar fans who have been saying, I don't know if they're Keemstar fans, and I shouldn't classify them as that, but there are a lot of people who are saying that Ethan was wrong to utilize Etika's death in the exposure of Keemstar, and then a lot of people in the defense of that saying this was stuff that needed to be exposed. Like, this is not okay what he was doing. He's doing it again with Comedy Shorts Gamer, or Deji, and what's going on with him. And if this isn't exposed, it's only going to keep happening. I think it's going to keep happening no matter what. But I'm curious to you, Doobie, because as someone who's consumed Etika's content, how do you feel? Do you think that it was wrong for Ethan to kind of utilize that as a gotcha? Because it was really, I thought it was well done in how he exposed how vicious Keemstar was.
I think it's
with Etika.
I think bringing up Etika, and I think definitely going over what happened is important, because if we're gonna try to like prevent the same situation from happening again, we have to talk about the past. We have to talk about what happened. If we don't, we're just pretending like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
I don't see this as completely exploitation of it. It would be different if it was exploitation of it where, like, if Ethan had monetized the video, or
that was the only viewpoint, because if that was the crux of the video, right? Like, if that was the crux of the video, then it would be pretty fucking exploitive.
Yeah.
But if it's just a sub point,
it's a very large sub point, but it's also a big sub point for a reason.
It is important in the video. It kind of really showcases.
It showcases a lot of the problems of Keemstar, with his views of mental health, with his quick to play the victim, with his hypocrisy.
A lot
of that did come up in the Etika stuff.
Yeah,
correct. And I think that was a good point of adding it, where it wasn't just the feature of that wasn't just here's Etika drama. It was, this is an example of all of these points I am outlining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it did play a big role because it was very,
another thing.
It was shocking to see that stuff. I mean, it was pretty apparent that, especially when he showed like one of the defenses Keemstar had was that, they were friends and that, Etika loved him and this and that. But then he shows in the video, they didn't even know each other until they had these interviews. They barely knew each other until the very end. Supposedly Etika loved Keemstar. He always wanted to go on Drama Alert and, whatever you have on that.
And you've got Keemstar saying all this stuff about in the background, but without providing like any
of the background
real proof.
And I don't even think that touches to
that.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting because one of the biggest things that's come out of it is that Ethan's video, he touches on GFuel as the sponsor. And a lot of people find that going after someone's sponsor is like a line you don't cross. You can make fun of the person all you want. You can call them a pedo. You can, go after their families. But you go after their sponsors, that's a line that no one should cross, because then it just opens up this avenue where people just start going after advertisers and sponsors all over the place. I don't exactly know how I feel about that. I understand the plight of it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, I understand the.
I do think he brought it up too many times.
The GFuel thing.
Back to, I don't think it was like entertainment value. It's like, yes, I get it. He's sponsored by GFuel. Yes, we're supposed to be angry at GFuel. You don't have to tell me 30 times.
Do you think that it was? Do you think you think it's crossing the line though in terms of an attack? If you're trying to attack someone, should you stay away from their sponsors?
I think if you're trying to attack someone, no, you shouldn't. But that was like the marker to me that this is an attack. This isn't just like, I don't like this person and you shouldn't either. This is no, we should ban this dude from the platform,
this was a canceling. This is essentially a canceling video, which Content Cop really wasn't. Even though you could say it was, I don't think it was. This was definitely like, this guy needs to get the fuck off the platform. He has this history of abusing people with mental health and exploiting them. And
it took him only a year to turn on the guy that he called a pedophile, and really, like, initially showed remorse, and then a year later, and it was the saddest part was the end of that video with the guy just like bending the knee, and just being like, I have to pretend to like this guy because I can't get any of this to stop.
Yeah, that did suck, but that's like just another example to me of why this is one of my. I mean, I have many problems with Keemstar, but the whole idea of I'm a journalist, I run a news show. He doesn't. It's not a news show. It's the same thing as calling your shitty blog a news show.
Or not. TMZ. It's like the same thing as calling TMZ a news show. It's just like.
But I think there is an argument to be made for TMZ that you can't make for Keemstar, and that's where my. Like, I don't get it, because I think the idea of a TMZ show, there's at least a precedent and a basis that it is a public figure. You should be able to ask questions about them. Problem with Keemstar is he's just like, I just fucking make shit up and call it news.
It's more like a Perez Hilton. I don't know if you guys know who Perez Hilton is, but
is Keemstar the Alex Jones of TMZ?
Basically.
He's more like the Perez.
That's a fair assessment, I think.
Or like Perez Hilton, yeah. Like
I think he's more the Perez Hilton of.
It's no more. Someone just sent me a DM, so I believe it, and I'm going with it.
Didn't Perez Hilton though recently like take a lot of stuff back and realize like they made a lot of mistakes?
Yeah, because he probably couldn't get any fucking sponsors.
Tried to change.
Probably because he couldn't get any money. Yeah, I mean, it comes down.
As far as I know, I saw earlier. I think GFuel has removed Keemstar from all of the community stuff. This product is down. It's all 404'd. They've essentially scrubbed him out.
Energy drink. This is from Business Insider. Energy drink company GFuel no longer sponsors internet drama reporter Keemstar after claims that he exploited a YouTuber who died by suicide. That's a pretty vicious headline. So this is kind of the crux of the debate, I think, is the sponsor. Do you go after someone's sponsor? Does it then become an attack?
Should we also hold sponsors to a higher accountability of vetting who they sponsor?
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Did they actually vet Keemstar at all? Or did they go, this guy has a lot of views, we sponsor him?
The problem is that it gets...
To a degree, but this is my problem with, to an extent, of going after sponsors, is like, I don't.
You get into a
I'm
line
not
where
the
it's just
hugest fan of how easy and quick cancel culture is, where
Right.
like if you say one thing wrong, you're immediately gone.
right.
But it should be on the company to act responsibly.
And
But at the
that's, I
same
mean,
time,
that's also the thing, though, is it's like
the company actually
it's
has
one
to
thing if
do
it's
a good
one thing
job
you
of
said.
vetting. Right, but there
It's like,
is
this is
enough.
why I know
there is
this was
enough
like cancel
where when
video.
people say something.
Yeah, and it's one thing if you say like one thing wrong. Like, I think of like James Gunn's past, which was God like over a decade ago. And the guy, the crazy extremist tried to get him canceled, and it worked. Like Disney had fired him. They had taken him off of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 for really inappropriate jokes he had made 10 years ago. But I mean that's 10 years ago. We look at Keemstar video, and it's not one thing he said. It's a very long pattern over the course of at least since 2016, so like 4 years
See, and
of consistency.
I wonder.
And that, yeah, and then I do agree with that. I'm just saying, like that is, to me, that is a failing on GFuel. That's not like,
yeah,
it shouldn't get to a point where we have to
and that's the thing. Is it
cancel
on
culture
Ethan?
a sponsor because a company's not going to do their job.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is it on Ethan to expose to call out GFuel as well for not vetting who they sponsor?
That's kind of more
Or
of
is
what
that
he
up
did
to
too.
the
It's
community, or
it's kind of more of like in it, the way that I took it in his video. He was kind of just like, "What is even G Fuel doing sponsoring this guy?"
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's if you call that an attack or if that's something that is crossing the line. I don't also believe that cancel culture is any good because it only is going to there's only a point where it's just too much going on. Anytime someone disagrees with someone, now all of a sudden they can go after their
It
advertisers.
seems, especially right now with everything going on with the quarantine,
Dude,
it
it's the
feels
French
like every
Revolution.
day on Twitter it's a new hashtag of blank is over party, or
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
always the
French
dumbest
Revolution
thing.
2.0, dude. Your dog woke me up, so I'm gonna fucking end your life.
Yeah. And now
Like,
I will say to
That's what I am
Keemstar,
worried about, and I get that.
and to Keemstar, he needs to drop this
Fuck Keemstar,
journalist news bullshit because it gets him in too much trouble. It's just if he were to drop that and just be a commentary channel, then he
I
wouldn't.
know, but
get
he won't
nearly-
because he actually believes it.
I know. I know.
How many times has Brian Williams needed to, in the middle of a story, or Tom Brokaw been like, "I'm Tom Brokaw. In today's big expose, I don't like this person. Here's their mother's phone number."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, when does the whole doxing? Because I'm a journalist. This is what we do. No, doxing is
No.
not what journalists do. You
No, they
goddamn
don't.
moron.
No, he doesn't do.
I don't
journalists
get it.
uses that
They're
in a very
actually in the U.S.
sensitive
You're
way.
actually protected from that. You actually can't do that as a journalist in the U.S. But sure, dude.
Why
Yeah,
is my
that
internet
is that
so
is
bad?
under privacy. Like, there are laws specifically against that, especially as a journalist, to not unveil your sources like that.
No, that's
And
not
then
even a sources
doxing.
thing. It's
yeah, no.
it's a proven and it's innocent until proven guilty thing where
Mhm.
it's like, no, that's
And-
why in U.S. journalism
No,
there
yeah.
is a protectionism.
And
That's built
hardcore
in
invasion
there.
of privacy.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Keemstar needs to, if he wants to play the villain, he has to take the consequences. If you want to be the tough, the tough guy, the guy that's the asshole, because I watch content that it's not like Keemstar's, but it is vicious and it does go after certain people, and I enjoy it, and I do like some of what TMC does. But they also take along the idea of like, we're the villain. We're not going to have a sponsor. We're going to be independently funded. We're going to be in this small corner of the internet that is away from YouTube, that's away from all this stuff. You can't play both sides. And that's what I've been enjoying from this, is seeing kind of how Keemstar is reacting to this.
Yeah,
I haven't seen his
plays
responses
it-
yet, but
He plays on the flip of a dime.
yeah.
He plays on the flip of a dime. He's the villain, and as soon as it flips on him, I'm the victim. Oh, me.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No, you
it's only gonna
can't
get you in
play
trouble.
both. You can't do that.
If you want to be the villain, then stand up to your, stand up
and
for your
that-
ideals. Say fuck all these people. Fuck all,
For a person with extreme toxic views on mental health, I definitely think he has some real hardcore mental health issues.
I
It's
don't.
usually
I
the
don't
people
think
who
that.
have extreme issues against it.
No, I think he's just kind of an idiot, to be honest. I think he's just kind of slow in the head.
I think it goes deeper than that.
I don't know what's going on with this fucking
I don't think
Zoom
he's
thing.
just an idiot. Like, I know plenty of idiots.
No, I do.
I think it's worse.
I personally think he's just dumb. I mean, the guy can barely read. You ever watch him on his videos? He barely knows how to fucking read. It's funny. Like, it's like the guy is, and he's 40.
Is he?
And he's getting in
from
drama.
Florida? Is he? Because I would
No,
explain
I think he's
a lot
like
if he's from
upstate
Florida.
New York. I think he lives in the woods upstate New
Damn,
York.
I was gonna say the classic Florida man.
He is kind of has a Florida vibe about him. I'm gonna have to do this for a minute. I don't know why it's saying that we have low internet here. My internet's been acting very spotty lately. All right, anyways, moving on from that. I thought that was fun. I like this kind of stuff. I want to see more YouTubers fighting each
I
other.
do too. I just want to
So fun.
see not from H3H3 just because it was important and he had a point to say and defend himself, but like I want like that iDubbbz content cop of like this is what happened, not like here's some really weird editing and it's too long.
Yeah. I actually enjoyed it. I thought this was one of his better videos recently. All right, we got Joe Rogan. I'm going to play a little clip from his show today. Or show yesterday, maybe? This is very important.
Buddy, I have an announcement. The podcast is moving to Spotify. I signed a multi-year licensing agreement with Spotify that will start on September 1st.
All right, that's all I can play. Currently sitting at 22,000 dislikes, 17,000 likes. He's going to Spotify come the end of the year. He will be exclusive to Spotify. Also, the video podcast is going to be exclusive to Spotify. From here on out, he says that the show is still going to be available on all platforms, but end of the year, they switch it over. I think this is phenomenal. Let's applaud Joe Rogan. Great job. YouTube needs to realize that its talent is its currency. Its talent is its currency. And if you have talent that's going to leave your platform because you have insane policies and you don't allow certain adult creators to remain on your platform, then they're just going to leave and they're going to find something else. And it's going to be very easy. I mean, I wonder how much Spotify gave him. I was hearing numbers as like $200 million.
Is it going to be really easy? It's going to be easy if you have the top 20 podcasts in the world.
Oh, sure.
But
no, absolutely. And the problem is where is he gonna go if you're not a YouTuber? Where are you gonna go to fucking Twitch? You know what I mean? It's not much different there either. Nonetheless, I think that this type of stuff really kind of shakes things up because it's not gonna hurt YouTube if our channel goes somewhere else. But if Joe Rogan goes somewhere else, if whoever is a popular channel, if Good Morning YouTube goes somewhere else. That's big. That is what is really going to get YouTube to say, hold on, maybe we should value our creators and empower them and give them tools to thrive on this platform rather than react to what they're doing and try to hinder them. Because, I mean, YouTube is just... The problem that I see for Rogan is that who the fuck is going to use Spotify to watch the Joe Rogan? You know what I mean? Like, it's not... I don't go to Spotify to watch podcasts.
That's part of it.
You know?
That's part of it where it's deeper, I think, than just bad for YouTube, because it is bad for YouTube and they definitely make money off of it and would want to keep it, and they've tried to make it more of a podcast show, but like it's also bad for everyone but Spotify.
Yeah.
Like rip Apple Music, Google, YouTube Play Music, YouTube Music, whatever the fuck it's called now. Like all of your traditional podcast things, that's a lot harder now.
Yeah. No, and that I think that this kind of transition period needs to happen in order, because I don't know, I don't like where YouTube has been heading in the last, I guess, 2 or 3 years. And this is the type of stuff that's going to kind of shake things up. I mean, they just did a big deal with PewDiePie they lose Joe Rogan. They kind of did a little trade there. I'm curious as to what Spotify is trying to do. I don't like Apple Podcasts. That's what my podcast platform of choice right now. I don't like it. It's just the way that it works on Windows and the way that it works on Apple is just a mess. Much rather would use Spotify. The problem with Spotify is that it doesn't have the same sort of content that Apple Podcasts has, just because it's a newer platform. So I am curious to see where Spotify's heading in terms of podcasting.
They have been trying to do more about that too, though, because I know they've started sponsoring tons of other smaller podcasts throughout the years.
Yeah.
They're like over the last year or so. I don't think they've had exclusive deals, though. That's new as far as I know.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting that they're gearing more towards a podcast. I mean, you would figure they would maybe try to sign more artists, but they go and they sign Joe Rogan. That's pretty cool. So hopefully they do kind of create a good podcasting platform that rivals Apple Podcasts, because that has been a mess for a while now. And I'm not going to pay for like Overcast. I don't know why people pay for these podcasting solutions. I'm not exactly sure what they get in return. These podcasts are free. So what is the membership going to?
Better app.
I guess
Like,
that's the only.
That's what it is.
The only thing.
You pay $5 for an app interface you actually like and can use.
Yeah. To me, I'll wait to see what Spotify's doing. I don't listen to too many obscure shows. There are a couple though that I can't get on Spotify, so I kind of gotta wait for them. But see, what's nice about Spotify is that they have a lot of music that Apple Music doesn't have. You know, so it's gonna be interesting. This fight is gonna be pretty crazy, but good for Joe Rogan. I think it's a good move on his part. I'm curious to see how it's going to affect the show. Obviously, his audience doesn't like it on YouTube, right? They all want to do the comments. They want to get in the comments. They want to hate on his guests. They want to talk shit on him and how he looks like a thumb. Now they can't do that anymore. This is a great deal for Rogan. He doesn't give a shit about these commenters. He doesn't care about. He just wants you to listen. He wants you to listen. That's it.
That and the $200 million, but.
Oh yeah, that too. That probably helps. I'm curious to know how much it is. I hear it's 200 million, which is insanity.
I mean, if it is, that's not.
It's got to be that high. That's the number one show ever. It's the number one show in all media.
Think of it too as that's insane. That's an insane amount of money. Where like people have left Twitch to go to Mixer for what's estimated to be 25 million, because that's enough to retire off of.
Yeah.
Now you got 200 million. Yeah, dude. Yeah, sure. That's more money than you probably made in the last year from just the show exclusively. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why not sign a 1 year, 2 year? If it's enough, if it's more than you made if it's a 3-year deal and it's more than you made over 3 years on every platform, do it.
He makes no money on YouTube. He makes no money on YouTube. It's adult content. They're not monetizing this type of content, this adult content. Sometimes he talks with controversial guests. They're not going to monetize it. So this is just all profit here on out for him. So this is pretty interesting to see. Maybe YouTube say, hey, maybe we should have a separate thing for adult content creators so we can empower them and not limit them. But I don't think they give a shit at the end of the day. So maybe they're just like, whatever. Sorry. We'll find someone else. Because it is YouTube at the end of the day. Everyone uses it. No one's going to ever leave YouTube for any reason. You know what I mean? All right. i9 10900. We got benchmarks for that. Have you seen this yet?
Yeah, it's good. Depending. It's good for gaming, depending on price, basically, just because we don't 100% know the pricing.
Yeah.
But it seems better than I was expecting, but still, I don't know if it's good enough. It's good. It's probably going to be the best chip you can buy purely for gaming, for sure. But the rest of it's...
Yeah, like the value proposition.
Yeah, value proposition, but it's still not the best for multi-core rendering, things like that, where it's kind of more of the same. It's really great for gaming if that's all you do, and it's great for Adobe because that's what Adobe optimizes for.
Mm-hmm.
The rest, if you do anything else, it's there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It really depends on what the actual end game pricing turns out to be.
It's just another one of these like incremental kind of upgrades. It just fits in their line the way it needs to fit in there. They were able to just kind of edge it out.
It's the 5th generation of Skylake. It's
Yeah.
the 5th 14 nanometer plus.
Yeah. Imagine if this didn't perform though. Imagine if this didn't perform, which I was kind of hoping they didn't, just so they can kind of get a little kick in their ass.
Same, and it does perform, but then also like it likes power.
Oh yeah. Yeah, these chips really kind of drink the juice, man. So we can see here, I mean, it just kind of dominates in gaming. I was more interested in these rendering things where NVIDIA or AMD has been pretty competitive at for the value.
And it's good. It's still not, it kind of goes to a value proposition, but it's not mind-shatteringly good. Like it's good in Adobe from what I've seen, because Intel's always good in Adobe. Like if you're a Premiere person, here's your chip, just because QuickSync's huge.
Mm-hmm.
But
it is.
For any other, like if you edit in DaVinci, it doesn't seem like it's as, if it costs $100 more, you're to gain 0.002 seconds. I don't know.
Yeah, 3950X is around $700. Let's see how much the 3900 is.
Like the top end chip does seem really good. In the middle of the pack, the new
this would be competing with the
i5 series
3900
seems really
basically.
Good. Yeah,
price.
The new i5 seems really fucking good too, but the problem I have with the i5 is the i5 does look faster than the 3600 in almost everything, but it's estimated to cost about $80 more, so it fucking better be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. It's competitive. It's actually semi-competitive, it seems like. But yeah, we'll see how actually competitive, based off of pricing at least.
Yeah,
the hardware itself is competitive.
I think they're positioning it around $500. That's from what I've been seeing it. Which would
that seems right. That's i99KS or whatever.
Yeah, and that's around the 3900. 3900 being maybe a little bit cheaper. And then they're kind of neck and neck. You do get 2 extra cores with the 3900 R9. Yeah, I mean it's nothing groundbreaking. It seems that the 3900 does perform better in Adobe some areas. Let's see the handbrake benchmarks here. It does pretty well in handbrake. 3950X is the only one that kind of beats it. That's pretty good. H.264 to H.265.
It is a good
that's
chip.
the quick sync helping that out.
It does seem like a good chip, but it's in that $500 price range where it's going to come down to application use if you're going to spend that much.
Mm-hmm.
So it better be a good chip at that point.
And then we were
the
looking
weird
at
thing
this...
I will say is it's not, if you're talking about just gaming, and you have an i9 999K or whatever, don't buy it. You're not going to see any improvement, any difference. There's literally no difference, because both of them, if you overclock them, they're already to the point where it's a GPU bottleneck is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Your 2080 Ti is not going to be any faster on either of these chips. It's going to literally have the same performance.
Yeah.
So if you already have one of those and that's what you care about gaming, there's absolutely zero reason to upgrade from 9th gen to 10th gen or whatever they want to call it. For the rest of the people, it seems fine. The lower end i5 actually seems pretty competitive and impressive.
Mm-hmm.
For the price point. It's just at a really weird estimated price of what we're expecting. But that one is definitely worth the jump from the 9th to the 10th gen.
Mm-hmm.
The 9th to the 10th gen gains from that are fucking huge, actually. So props to Intel. Is it too little, too late? It's competitive. That was what I hoped. It is competitive. It looks like it's competitive. It's gonna come down to pricing.
It's gonna come to pricing. And it's gonna come to
And
we're just gonna have to
power.
wait and see.
Because that they seem like they're pulling the old AMD strategy here of like, we can make a competitive chip, but it's gonna run hot.
I never got into the 900 chips. I was always the i7 area.
Yeah, the i7 I haven't really seen yet. I've only seen the i5 and the i9. Because that's all we've really been given for the most part. And like, again, if you solely care about gaming, it's still the chip to get. But if you do other stuff, because you're gonna also lose out probably on, like, if you're a streamer, you're still losing cores. You're still gonna lose out on
Right.
encoding, basically.
Yeah.
So
It's just
Yeah,
like a
I
badass
guess I
gaming
wanna see
chip.
more.
It's just a badass gaming chip. At least that version is.
no, it is.
If
But
you
I
have
think
the
it's
cache.
also. I think it could be good as a multi-use, and it could be good for rendering. Its rendering scores and shit like that are nothing to scoff at. It's just where it's going to come down to price versus AMD
Yeah.
and what matters to you.
Speaking of AMD, we have AMD Lappies that look pretty damn cool. These little budget chips.
Yeah, no, the AMDs came out huge in the laptop scene.
Yeah,
Like, there's just no way
surprisingly.
to do it. The news N2 stuff's crazy. Like, it's ridiculously good. The 4600H, which is a 45-watt part, is basically competitive to the point of better than anything Intel has in a laptop. And then the 4800HS, which is the 35-watt part,
49.
but there's the 48HS and the 49HS.
Oh, okay.
And there's an H version and an HS version. The H is the 45 watt. The HS is the 35 normal Ultrabook
Okay.
style. All of those chips, including the lower powered ones, are completely crushing the 1099K version, laptop version.
Yeah, which is insanity. I kind of want to get one of these things going. Which is insanity, especially when you package them with like a 1660, a 2060 Super, it's sort of like, like I guess a more mid-ranged GPU in a laptop. You basically have a pretty badass mobile workstation that is really going to kick ass for the price.
And AMD's price these things where you're going to be able to add that GPU for the same and have the CPU that's faster than the Intel price for the same price as just getting the Intel CPU.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah, which is awesome. Yeah. So you get so much more money for your.
And then
for
the other thing is, so I've been watching a lot of videos on these because literally haven't seen a bad review on these chips, basically, of people who have been able to get their hands on one with a laptop, and more laptop manufacturers need to be using these things. But everyone's going crazy over it because for the HS version, for example, the 30 watt, you can get a 4800 HS that is faster than any Intel and everything, or at least matching. Can pair it with a graphics card, and you can actually get half-hour more battery life out of it than the XPS 13 with the Intel chip.
No, that's awesome.
Like, Linus was getting 10.5 hours out of a gaming laptop.
That's insanity.
Like,
Doesn't even
and
make
you're
any
not
sense.
sacrificing power either.
Doesn't even make any sense. These are pretty
Like, that
cool.
was-
These need
that
to be
wasn't while
used.
Gaming. That wasn't while gaming, but like in
Right.
the same exact rundown test. Like,
No,
these
but it's
things
still
are
running.
power efficient.
It's still running. I mean, if it's just normal usage, it's still kicking in, Yeah, these are, so here are some laptops See, the problem with these like gaming laptops, they need to stop this. Just make like a nice, like an
they're all-
XPS, make an XPS,
No, I know.
but put some good shit in there.
It has to get into an XPS. Like the G14's the cleanest one, and it still has the dumb light band on it and no webcam. But like that's also insane because that laptop right there did 10.5 hours. That exact laptop was the one in the Linus review of it's literally faster in every way. You can put a graphics card with it, and it's an ultrabook.
Let me ask you,
Go for it.
does aesthetic like factor into you purchasing a laptop? Like, would you purchase this
Yes.
laptop knowing
Oh.
you would buy like no? Would you purchase this laptop even with the specs that it has at the price that it's at now? Just like aesthetic wise, I don't think I would. You know what I mean?
No, and it's
'Cause it's really
partially
bad.
Aesthetics. It's not so. It's not. Well, yeah. I don't think it's as bad as you think, but it's also. It's still the key shape is still a little too gamery. I think aesthetics do matter with a laptop, but it's also just like that DC dude. It's that DC input and things like that, just in the middle. Like
Yeah, that's it.
it's
Yeah,
the port placement of
it's
just
the
like
fins on the side. It's the color of it.
there is something to be said for the MacBook elegance of like just make it look pretty.
I mean, the XPSs are awesome. I love those devices. Even like the HP devices are really nicely put together, but the HP devices always have shit in them. There's no power to them. Whereas on the gaming side, I guess there has to be a sacrifice somewhere, right? But why not just make a more basic design rather than a really polarizing design? Because I would consider a laptop like this, like if it was more like the concept devices, which, are pretty clean and they have a lot of power to them. They're still plastic. They're not fully milled. They're not fully milled aluminum, but at least they look normal. That doesn't look like, you don't have dots all over the fucking thing. You don't have these big keys and these big fins on it. Like you said, the thing right in the middle of the laptop. But that, like, to me, that holds me back from really wanting to dive into it. The only thing that I think Razer does really well is like their build quality, and they put a lot of power to them. They're just a little out of the price range, right? They don't ever kind of come into the price range that is competitive in this area. If I'm going to buy a gaming laptop, I'm looking at it around this, the $1,500 to $1,700 price range. So I would like to see like
I want
more
a
of like a
Razer Blade with
concept
this.
queue.
Like I want to see a Razer Blade. I want to see a MacBook with
A
this.
Razer Blade with
Oh,
this? Oh, a MacBook would be amazing, man. A MacBook would be
but
amazing.
like even then, like a Dell, a Lenovo, dude. Just
Right.
give me like imagine if you can get the top end ThinkPad, the Carbon ThinkPad,
Right.
but $200 cheaper now,
Yeah.
dude.
No, hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Like that's the biggest issue that this has right now currently is just
They need to use
getting these into more manufacturers. But
Yeah.
I want one, dude. Like I want a MacBook, but at the same time, like this is a generational leap.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
insane to me.
I'm curious to know where AMD is positioning its lap. I mean, are they planning on heading to Apple? I would love to see that. That would make those devices so much more enticing
Dude,
and just cheaper.
Imagine a 13-inch MacBook Pro with the 4800, the lower end HS 30-watt part, and you could put in a minor graphics card.
Yeah, like a
Or
fucking
APUs, you don't even need a
5500.
graphics card, but like
Right.
it would help.
No,
Like,
even a
that'd be
little
nuts.
discrete one. I mean, that would be amazing.
Well, no, because I was looking these up. One of the ones I found too was
And they're getting better battery.
$930. Yeah, they're $930, and it was the 4600H, which is now faster than basically, or it matches everything of top end Intel. It matches the Intel i9 45-watt part. It is a 45-watt part. It was that and the 4 gigabyte 5500M, 8 gigs of RAM, small tiny hard drive.
Yeah,
$930.
that's badass.
Insane.
Yeah. Now I would pay a little premium. I would pay a little premium if it had like nice build quality, like what Razer
Same,
and Apple do.
yeah.
But
No,
you're
same. I
still
just wanna
getting
see
away.
that.
You're still getting a good performance jump for the price, while not sacrificing much value. You're still getting good value there.
Well, no, like that's the crazy part of it is like for my 3, 4 year old desktop now, like that's a laptop that's under $1,000 that is in most ways better than my current desktop.
Yeah.
Like that's actually insane.
Yeah, it's cool.
And
Which
like
is
not an
AMD
on sale price, just brand new MSRP. That's ridiculous.
And that's what's interesting about where AMD is right now, because we were talking previously, like how long is AMD going to do this, where they're really going to position themselves so much further away from Intel while cheaper, because they don't want to do this. They want to bring those prices up. They want much more. They want to be utilized the way that Intel does, just because they're making a lot of money that way. But for right now, just enjoy this ride with AMD, because they really are providing excellent pieces of hardware for great value. I don't know how long it's going to last, especially considering where Intel's at just in their lineup. It looks like they're just kind of flip-flopping, but it is nice to see. So that's pretty cool. And I'm happy that you showed me that, because I wouldn't have found that otherwise.
No, I know, because
It feels like no one's talking about those chips.
No, a lot of people are. It's just also they're not labeling. Very few people have been labeling it as talking about the chips, because it is laptop-like. Like,
right.
At the same time, the performance of that chip is still only going to be as good as that laptop.
Sure. Yeah.
So it is still on a laptop by laptop basis. But doing that research, and that's why, like, while it is really cool that for $930 you can get that, I'm not going to buy it because I don't know anything about that laptop.
Right. Like, that's the problem that we see, is that these laptops you put them in like a tried and true XPS, a Lenovo, a Razer, a MacBook, and then we can start then AMD's really priming their position, and that's how they really kind of capture that market the way that Intel has.
Yeah.
Because right now it's just fun to talk about, but I'm not jumping in line to buy them just yet.
Well, I would consider it once I see a laptop that I want, with it. But like I'm gonna keep my eyes out for him now, because that's insane. But it's again, it is still also laptop world. It's still a 30 watt and a 45 watt part.
Yeah.
If you don't cool it, it's still gonna be trash compared to the Intel chip. You know what I mean? And vice versa. Like, so I have seen some reviews where I think Dell started using one in a business class-ish version, and apparently it's dog shit, and it's also because it
gets too hot.
Yeah, it's just in a really bad chassis for it. So I think with some of them, that is the problem, is maybe they do have to come up with a new design for some cases.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm keeping my eyes out. Like, because if you can get that 4800 HS, it's a 30 watt part, you're going to get 10 hours of battery life, and it's faster than my fucking desktop. Yeah, dude. Like, shit. Okay. Especially if you can slap it on like a concept series, actually have a good screen on it, or please, Apple, like, do that.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, yeah.
Did you see the NVIDIA GTC conference, where they basically is just like, enterprise data servers, stuff like that. They did touch on ray tracing a little bit, which was pretty interesting. Some of the stuff they're doing, they're really gearing themselves with DLSS 2.0, utilizing their deep learning systems and just kind of pushing as much as they can with what they're able to produce right now. And we're probably going to see most of this stuff be pushed into the consumer graphics ends, the gaming ends, as people say, the RTX or GTX cards. I thought the DLS stuff, 2.0 stuff, was really impressive. I can't wait to see it being actually utilized, especially once we start to see this next gen Unreal sort of thing all come together, where maybe 1440p at 60 frames per second can look really great on a 4K screen, upscale it with this DLSS. And then you have then there's no loss there in quality and at all. There's no loss in fidelity. There's no loss in the quality, and it's still being upscaled. That's pretty interesting to me.
That would be cool.
I'm curious to see how that works.
That is the dream. I agree. Like DLSS 2.0 looks a lot better. It's as much as I want to love Intel, not Intel, NVIDIA, because I'm still using NVIDIA. But we need more. It's the same thing. Like the DLSS 1 flopped miserably. 2 looks really good, but you got to actually get into games.
Yeah.
And you got to see it getting in the games. And it's the same thing with the ray tracing, where it's like the only game I'd buy right now is Minecraft. I'm not gonna buy a fucking graphics card for Minecraft. Like,
no, we need to see this actually being implemented in engines correctly. But once one does, I think once one does it, then we're gonna start to see that ball rolling. Because you really just need that one showcase where it's like, oh, this. Because to me, this is where I'm not a big resolution guy. Like, I don't really care for resolution that much. I like the colors and the luminance and all that stuff. I want to see that really kind of pushed.
I do and I don't. I'm a big 1440p guy. I don't give a shit about 4K.
Yeah.
Like 1440p is good enough for me. I don't want screen tear. I don't want, like, I put all of that over. I put frame rates and screen tear, things like that, over how pretty it looks personally.
Yeah.
But
to me, I think of the most part, like 60 to 100 frames is as long as it can lock there. I really want to see some more detail and you know, it's nothing too impressive yet. We still haven't seen their GTX conference or RTX conference yet. I'm curious to know what's going to come of it. But
I mean, for the compute side, some of this is really cool.
Yeah.
For what they've shown for Ampere, but like, yeah, I'm hopeful, but I'm also, we didn't learn anything. There's nothing there to learn except for really cool data center stuff where they also ditched Intel and went to AMD.
Yeah.
So
they have to. They just fucking have to.
Oh, I did also see, while still looking through this Intel stuff too, a lot of reviewers are complaining about BIOS issues. So heads up.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah. Of course. All right. What's this Fuji Film XT4 review?
Hey, everyone's reviewing the XT4 now.
It's out now. Everyone's got them.
Slowly, I think they're getting them. At least the reviews. I still think it's mostly delayed, but I've seen it showing up in people's hands at least.
All right. So what does DP Review have to say about it? Did they do a video?
I don't know if they've done a video yet. It's an 88 gold, which sounds about right. It's the best APS-C camera. That's what everyone said. It computes with full frame, but it's that A-, B+. It's fantastic, but is it revolutionary? No. It's a Fuji.
But it's also $1,700.
Yeah.
Which is a really competitive price.
And even if it's shitty IBIS, it's better than Sony IBIS for $1,700 in 4K 60. And
1080 240.
Yeah. That mostly
and a flip out screen.
Focus.
And a flip out fucking screen.
Like, honestly, if Fuji fixes their lenses, I could see the score being 4% higher, because that was like the major con was autofocus performance on a lens to lens basis.
Okay. That makes sense.
And like, if that's the worst thing you can say about a camera, that's a pretty fucking good camera.
Yeah, it's a
Is
good
it a good
solid
ecosystem?
Base.
That's a fair question.
Right. It's a good solid base. It's a good base for them to build off of. I'm curious to know how many they sell. This is a really good price. What else camera can you recommend at that price? I guess the Sony A6700, whatever they're on now.
I would entirely buy this over any APS-C Sony. Not even close to me.
Yeah.
But the main argument, and that's where this camera
Sony's got a much better eco, you know.
They do, but that's where this camera goes into. If you're going to buy an APS-C camera, here's your camera. But if you're just buying at this price point, it is a little harder, because you can buy an A7S III for within $100 of it, usually.
Yeah.
You can find EOS Rs in this price range every now and then on sale. You know, you can find the Nikon Z6 in that price range, like almost always on sale.
Yeah, I guess they're not around that $2,000 mark anymore.
Right. Like, they do drop quite often nowadays, because they're also older cameras now.
Mm-hmm.
So it is it the best camera at that price? That is a lot more of a subjective question. How much you rate full frame.
I want to see more reviews of it. I want to see let's see some footage from it, some real footage from it.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I want to see more too. It looks great because it's still an XT3. And that's where I think it's not going to sell super well, honestly. Just because everyone already bought an XT3. So unless you're a video person, why are you going to upgrade?
Mm-hmm.
Now, it could bring in a lot of new people. That is a possibility. But from Fuji people, if you already got an X-T3, unless you're way more into video, why are you going to do this?
Yeah, you would. Yeah, if you're into video, then this is a great upgrade. All right. And then lastly, Notion, which has been my favorite app of the decade. I love this app. I've been finding fun new ways to keep using this app. The development on it is great. There's a huge community of people on Reddit that post like these awesome templates and stuff that you can use, and people have websites built off of Notion now. It's just so fun, and it's a really cool, it's just a great fucking app that if you need any sort of to-dos, if you need any sort of note-taking, if you need any sort of writing, any sort of database collection, it does it all. I mean, there's so much it can do, and there's a lot of great webhooks you can use and plugins and stuff, but they just upgraded their plan where it is now free. Personal thing is free. Let me see if I can find the exact. They sent out an email. So yes, it's unlimited pages. You get unlimited pages, unlimited blocks. You can share with 5 people. You can sync across all your devices, and that's all for free. So pretty much everything is free on this. If you want unlimited file upload, so if you're saving uploads to it, which is what I do for a lot of my stuff, you can get the unlimited stuff for $5 a month. I pay the $5 a month just because I find that it's worth it. They're saying it replaces Dropbox. It replaces Google Drive. I'm curious to see who's going to use that as that. You might think it's crazy that a note-taking app would do that, but there are people really power using Notion, and I can absolutely see them implementing some cool way to use as a file system holder for certain things. And now with $5 a month, you get unlimited file uploads, unlimited guests. You can add as many guests as you want to all the pages that you want. So it's just really cool. And then you get API access, which is coming soon. So if you need a note-taking app, you're using Evernote, you're using Trello, you're using OneNote, I highly recommend you just take a look at Notion. There is a little bit of a learning curve, and it might scare you at first, but there's a lot of cool stuff out there that you can do with it, and it's free now. So, Evernote and all these other companies or all these other apps, they're really going to have to step their game up, because I just don't see any reason to use any of the other ones, like Bear Writer, which was really popular on iOS for a while, Ulysses. These just don't even come close to what Notion is providing. Everyone's using Notion now. It's just a great little fucking app. So check it out. That's what we're using right now in our show notes. We use it every week. Works great. It's got dark mode. Yep. Dark mode looks good. The iOS app.
Yeah, I can only use it in dark mode because it's fantastic.
Yeah. The iOS app and the Windows app are exactly the same, unlike Evernote, where you have 2 different fucking versions of the same thing. It's like Outlook, right? Microsoft Outlook on iOS is beautiful. It runs great. Even on macOS, runs beautiful, looks great, easy to use, easy on the eyes. And then you open it in Windows, you're like, what is this? Is this fucking Windows 95? Why is it so different? Notion, they're both the same app. And that's it for the show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like. Also subscribe if you haven't seen, or if you haven't and you want to see more videos like this, head over to the website nolife.digital, where this episode will reside. You can subscribe to us on Spotify if you would like, as well as iTunes, Google Play Radio, Stitcher, all those podcatchers. And hopefully Spotify sends us a $200 million exclusive deal. We'll keep you guys updated on that. We're gonna campaign Spotify to give us an exclusive deal. And
I'm
then we
down.
could retire.
You could use it to buy us all CS or C100s.
That would be great.
XT4s.
That would be great. I'd buy one Alexa cinema camera with that money, please. I'd
Can I
spend
get one
$200
too?
million.
Because everyone and their mother down here has one.
I'd spend $200 million on just an Ari Alexa and a fucking whole set of Cook lenses, and just sit on
one
them.
skylight.
I'd sleep with them.
One single